Hi guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer Lori Lothy, and I'm on the road trip to drive across the whole country of Canada. And right now I'm in a little town called Perth, Ontario, where I have some of my ancestors, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, and great-great-grandmother, and great-great, all of those came from here. There's even a house called the Bothwell House, and I have the Bothwell ancestors. So, something, I want to talk a little bit about this T-square, this forming in the sky right now, July 1st to about July 5th, where we're feeling it in the sky, especially for fixed signs, Aquarius and Leo and Taurus and Scorpio. I can tell you I'm an Aquarius rising and I'm feeling it. This is my bed. I hardly got out of bed today. After I had my late breakfast, I just laid there, So, Mars is kind of like in Leo trying to pressure up Uranus and Taurus and pressure up the Saturn at 12 degrees or so of the sign of Aquarius, and forming that gritty T-square energy, which is, it can be fraught with explosiveness and unexpected events as much as frustration and tension and conflict. And, there's a wildfire burning in Mount Shasta. I'm not surprised. I heard that today because, Mars is hot. And he's in a hot sign, Leo, and he's all about fire, and squaring Uranus tends to bring extreme weather. And he'll get back there in 2 years from now again, but right now he's there now. So we expect it to be an intense wildfire season anyway, and heat as well. And we're having record-breaking heat waves in certain parts of the West. So I want to just say a few things for each of I'm going to do cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. I'm not going to do each sign today. I don't have enough... I'm on my phone up against the window, that's why I'm so washed out. And I don't have enough bandwidth on my phone to record and maybe even upload from a hotel room a whole hour-long video. So let's get really swiftly into the main themes here. If you're a fixed sign with Aquarius, that means you're an Aquarius, a Leo, a Taurus, or a Scorpio rising sign, okay? Think of this as your rising. It's the most accurate right now for what I'm about to say. This is a turn the wheel of your destiny energy that's happening for all of us. I'm an Aquarius rising. This is like pivoting our reality, okay? The wheel of our destiny is powerfully turning. Saturn has been in Aquarius since December of 2020. For all of us fixed signs, this is a new energy it's in our cardinal energies that are our kentrons, or the pivots of our chart, that Saturn will be there until March of 2023, giving us new legs to stand on, building a new foundation, creating a new legacy energy for all of us in some area of our life. In my case, it's my first house, but if you're any of those signs, it's going to either be Saturn squaring or opposing or conjuncting or in your fixed sign of your ascendant. If your ascendant or any planets in your chart are near you Tauruses, if you have any planets within 3 degrees of 12, okay, so let's make that simple math, 9 degrees to 15 degrees of the signs of Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. Okay, ideally your ascendant is there, then you're really feeling this anywhere in those zones. And then secondarily, of course, your more personal planets like your sun and moon. So if you have planets there, you're feeling this bubbling up frustration. You want to experience change in your life. You need change. You know that the old is gone, the old is dead, the old is withered away. And it's kind of like you're looking at it and it's like the fruit is dead on the vine, but you can't really figure out what you're going to grow next. And there's a sense with this T-square that there's this urgency and frustration that can happen. That's the Mars part opposing Saturn, where it feels like you want to put your foot on the gas, but you also have the parking brake on. And I feel that. I'm kind of in the middle of a move, right? I'm relocating. I don't know what I'm really heading to do next, in addition to my astrology, because I do like astrology, particularly classes, particularly videos. I'm a little tired right now of the one-on-one consultations after 3 years of no vacation. But I would say that everybody in those fixed signs is feeling some area of their life with this pressure cooker. And the areas of your life where it's going to also play out besides your identity is your home, your purpose, career, and your love life. It's really the pivots of the chart, right? Self, other, nest, root, and what I give to the world. Those cardinal energies, those pivots, those kentrons are all being activated. And even though Mars is a temporary influence and he only comes through this part of the sky of Leo every 2 years, he is creating heat right now for all of us. to really be clear, what do we want to change? What do we need to change, right? Because sometimes what we want to change and need to change are different. Saturn is sober and serious and realistic, and he's going like, you want to make these big changes, but let's be realistic here. We can only change so much so fast. So you want to change your relationship status or your marriage status or where you live or your career or your identity or your health or your habits. You can do that. But Saturn's got a 2-year lease on your story until March of 2023. So be patient, okay? And don't go out and drive recklessly right now or make risky investments. Any of you fixed signs, it will likely backfire on you. I just know an Aquarius rising got an 4-way intersection accident yesterday. It's because, especially for Aquarius rising, Mars is ruling our 3rd house of trips and travel and automobiles, so be extra safe if you are Aquarius rising and you are driving. All right, so let's go on and talk about the next group of signs, right? In my my preference of who I want to talk about next. Let's talk about the cardinal signs, the Aries, the Capricorns, the Cancers, and the Libras, right? You guys are known as the cardinal signs in the zodiac, and you guys are experiencing this energy differently than the fixed signs, right? Because, this is happening in different positions within the context of your rising sign being any of those cardinal signs. Again, let me remind you of what the cardinal signs are, just in case you didn't hear me the first time. It's the Aries folk, and it's the Capricorns, and the Cancers, and the Libras. Okay, so let's go into this general feeling of what you might be going through during this intensity between July 1st and July 5th. And if you have planets around 12 degrees of your own, those signs that I just mentioned, you might have a little bit more of a feeling of intensity than those who don't. Okay, so let me just kind of tune into also what else, what do I think about you guys going through this right now? What's my interpretation of it? There's a strong quality for the cardinal signs to be feeling this in a kind of a subtle way, in a kind of a deep interiority way, okay? It's more within you than it's out there. You kind of have a way in this time of wanting to, let me say this the right way for you. I'm going to ponder this. I'm actually pondering. I'm pondering. Ponder, ponder, ponder. The way it's working is it's subtle, but it's also about your money. So it's got a couple of things going. And one of the reasons I think it's subtle is that, if you're, say, an Aries rising, right? With Uranus in your 2nd house of money. And some of you Aries risings are going through a lot of turbulence with this fact that you've got money stuff going on. The 2nd house is also kind of an aversion to the 1st house, right? And, if you are, let me go for, a Capricorn rising, and I'd like you to really think about your rising sign, all right? Especially your rising sign. You're having that Aquarian Saturn energy in your 2nd house of your self-possession and your earnings, but it's still an aversion to your identity. And in a lot of ways, it's all happening for you guys in the money, and also kind of, almost like, what is it about your self-worth, your self-possessions, your assets, your savings, your investments, your inheritances, your spouse's money, some of the money that can come through lucky breaks, investments, and speculation, or money that comes through friends and allies, or connections to friends and allies. So what I'm talking about then, if you're catching the wave here, I'm talking about those houses 2, 5, 8, and 11. That's where you're going to feel this particular bony T-square energy over the next few days. I want to say it's not a good time to be risky with investments, take wild speculations, listen to a friend's money advice. But it's also about that self-worth and self-possession. That 2nd house is voice, vocare, speech, right? And it's almost like you have a temporary stutter. It's like, da, 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 da. You can't get out what you really, really have and want. What I have and I want, and what I am saying I need, 2nd house things. I would say that lay low on financial risk-taking over the next 4 or 5 days. Be willing to flow with unexpected developments in other people's money, like your spouse or inheritance possibilities. Do not take anything personally that a friend offers you right now, because the 11th house of friendships is getting a little stress as well. And when it comes to romantic love and your children, watch out for conflicts in that 5th house area as well. So, but mostly it's about your money story, and it's a little bit about your children and your friends and your romance, where there's this bubbling tension. I think the key is to really sit down and ask yourself, what do you value? What do you value in yourself, and what do you value in life? Because if you focus on those 2nd house questions, I feel like a lot of the rest will fall into place. And you'll know, if I value honesty and my friend just lied to me, well, maybe they're not my kind of friend. If I value respect for my children, I was totally disrespected, maybe you need to take a serious look at that dynamic. If your spousal money situation is something going on, like a hidden variable, like a spouse not telling you the truth about their money or hiding money from you, or something going on there, then you're going to need to really address that. Because when you look at that values house, the 2nd house, when you know what your core values are, then nobody gets away with anything, right? Including yourself. So one of my core values is honesty. So it kind of is a barometer that through which everything runs in my life. It's really brutal sometimes. Sometimes you just want to be dishonest. I go to a grocery store and they forget to charge me for something. I go back and say, you forgot to charge me, because honesty is a core value for me. So a lot of you cardinal signs are looking to figure out what are your core values, and let everything else revolve around that. And the gritty T-square might put you up to, Mars might challenge you in a conflict with a friend or a romantic partner or a child or a financial dealing or a financial upset, to look at what your real core values are. All right, moving on. I don't want to run out of space to record this on my phone. Lastly, we just did the cardinal and we did the fixed. Now we're going to do the mutable. These are Geminis and Sagittarius and Pisces and Virgos. You guys are very mutable. You're very fickle. You change a lot, I have to say. I know a lot of you. You're hard to pin down. Yeah, you sure are. So, hey guys, the way this is going to feel for you is extremely invisible, okay? These are happening in the invisible houses for you, where you can't really see what's happening. So pay attention. So in other words, what are the more invisible houses, right, in that sense? Well, one of them is a 12th house of your dreams at night, your reveries, your meditations, your inner life, places where you can come to great revelations through insights that come from non-ordinary sources. So I want a lot of you guys to really pay attention to those inner realms. What's going on in your inner life? How is it playing out that you have insights into reality and the nature of your own reality and who you are? And Mars is kind of forcing your hand sometimes through conflict, but Mars can just bring you a nightmare, right? Like a bad dream dude. That's okay. The 6th house energies, that's kind of the house of service. Now, some of you may be feeling frustrated in work, having conflicts with employees or employer or colleagues in the workplace, or with your work routine and your health routine. So there's grit around health and work routines. Your inner life, your dreams at night can really percolate something and give you great ahas, okay? And then the 9th house, 3rd house axis is also activated for you guys. So frustrations and upsets and challenges regarding foreign lands, publications, gurus, church, faith, religion, and what are your beliefs? 3rd house stuff, that house of the goddess, house of chips and travel and siblings and local friends in the hood and local neighborhood things. Look for this to all have a lot of grit right now in your next 5 or 6 days. You might find Mars is really pushing and shoving, right, for breakthrough. And sometimes, when he's opposing Saturn, it can be a good thing, but sometimes it also just feels like stagnation, frustration, and as I said, foot on the gas and, parking brake at the same time. All right, so those are very general. I don't have time to do in all signs. Any other advice for you guys? Well, of course, look for planets. So any one of you, all right? Your Pisces, Virgo folk, and you Gemini, Sag folk, you've been getting battled and buffled and moved around by the eclipses, and that's going on to the end of this year. Eclipses are angular to you or in your signs, and so now you've got to deal with this Mars T-square thing. It is a little bit more subtle than it is overt. I did say that, but also, if you have planets around the 12-degree mark of or angles. So if your ascendant is anywhere around 12 degrees plus or minus 3, or your sun or moon in the cardinal signs, in the mutable signs that I just outlined, Sagittarius and Virgo, Gemini and Sag, then you're going to end up feeling some of this grit a lot more. All right, that's a shorty, that's a quickie. I hope that's helpful for you. Have a great day. I'm going to go out and find a restaurant before it rains. I want to show you where I am, but I can't flip the screen. I'm using an app with my Shure mic, and it won't let me just rotate it, but I've got a beautiful view of the river. Okay, guys, ciao. Mwah.